Well. Howdy, hey. I'm Dave, and I'm taking you on this walk with me as I leave my pity party of 5 years behind, for those who don't know. Um, Back in the beginning of the vid in 2020, March of 2020, I went out to, before they started locking everything down, I went out to inspect follow up on some of my inspections. I was a roof inspector, and then do some new inspections. Well, I went to inspect this other house, uh, uh, and as I was on the roof, I fell, and I fell on cement. Shattered my heel bone, broke some metatarsals, fractured my tailbone, and messed up my back, compressed some discs, and my neck is all messed up, and tore my abdominal muscle. So that put me in a pity party because I started blaming everybody for my situation. I went from making good money to making no money, so we were stressed about money, trying to pay the bills. Of course, the company didn't want to do anything. They said they would pay me my outstanding commissions. Yeah, I had to beg for that every time. So I got real negative and depressed. I put on a lot of weight. One time I was 257 pounds. Then it kind of balanced out to around 242. So I was 242 pounds. And I was trying different things. I was basically forced into retirement. So this video I'm going to talk about some things to do and how you identify yourself, because as either by your job or what you do is the things that our lives are made up of, but we're not just our job and what we do. We're more than that, and it took me 5 years to figure that out, because I was 53. I just turned 59 the other day, and I didn't want to be retired. You think of the life, it's like, oh yeah, that'll be cool to be retired and stuff, but we didn't have the money to be retired. I was making good money, but I was trying to start up some whole life insurance policies to become my own banker. I had read about that a little bit, but I didn't understand it completely yet. And so it wasn't a good time. We were thinking about buying a house. Glad we didn't. That would have been a mess. So I didn't know who I was. I thought I was going to heal up and go back to work. But as the first year went by, and I still wasn't walking, and with the COVID and everything, they didn't do any elective surgeries to try to fix my shattered heel bone. And then they talked about fusing it. I don't recommend getting anything fused. If I would not have done it if I knew what I know now. So anyway, and that ended up, I got that fused back in 23 finally, August of 23. So I wasn't able to walk. I was on one of those knee scooters again for 7 months. Oh, my back is hurting me. Sorry. So when I finally realized that my injuries were not going to allow me to work again, because I can't sit down for a long period of time, I can't stand up for long periods of time, I wasn't able to walk more than like 5-10 minutes. I still walk with a cane, and I've slowly built up to what I'm doing now is shooting for 2 times a day, 60 minutes each. But it's taken me almost a year to get up to that. When I started this back in October, I could only walk like 10 minutes, but I've been pushing myself. sometimes too much, and then sometimes I feel like not enough. When I first started, I did the back in January. I started the Hard 75 program, or the end of December, and I had to do my two exercises were one was chair yoga, some resistance bands, and then I would mix that walking on the treadmill for like 10 minutes. Then I worked it up to 12 and 15 and so on. And slowly, like a year before that, I wanted to get more fiscally knowledgeable, and some other business knowledge. So I started listening to audiobooks. I listened to 60 audiobooks in 2023. When I would drop off my daughter to school, and on the way back, and then in the house I would listen to them. So it was actually pretty good, and that was slowly getting me out of my pity party, because I still, at this time, I was basically a shut-in, because I was still upset with the world, kind of pissed off at everything. I couldn't believe that I wasn't going to go back to work, but I accepted it, but not in a good way. Does that make sense? I started to dwell in my disability, in being crippled, and being crippled is not the right word. That I don't really use that word anymore. Every so often it sneaks out, but yes, I'm disabled. Yes, I'm no longer functioning at a level that I used to before. I'm not able to run. I can't jump or anything like that. I still walk with my cane. But now, if I'm retired, what do I do? And so I just basically sat around all day and looked at YouTube shorts, YouTube videos all about everything, all these different things, and I didn't do anything. And of course, and I was eating the SAD diet, the standard American diet. I had a muffin every morning with my coffee, and I just ate junk food. And so, yeah, I put on the weight. I looked like a big old jelly roll. I was a blob. My face was all swollen and round. It was horrible. That's what I kind of made a joke that I don't know if you heard that music. I hit the thing and my music started playing. So I started growing the beard to try to hide that round face, even though I kind of always wanted to try a beard. But I also like that Viking look. So, and it kind of hid my round face, but you could still see it. I started doing pictures every day. And now, back to the topic, and I apologize for bouncing in and out of my pity party stuff and reasoning, but it plays a big factor on my mindset at the time, because mindset is very important when you are retired. You need to then set up your thing and realize what is your idea of retirement. Well, you don't have to do that 9 to 5 anymore and try to buck up for promotions and everything else, but you do need purpose, and that's what I lacked. I lacked purpose. So now, when sometimes bad news or a bad situation can be a blessing in disguise, because I do start. Ow, sorry, my back. I do start thinking more in abundance than anything, and I do believe that if you pray in the right way, with belief, God will always answer your prayers. It's that story about Moses and his people that they delivered from out of Egypt, and they were in the desert and it hadn't rained, so they're like, Moses, our God has forsaken us because we've been praying for rain and there's no rain. And why is God not answering our prayers? Well, he said God doesn't answer prayers of non-believers. And they were like, what? Well, you don't believe your prayers are going to work. Yes, we do. We've been praying for rain, but there's no rain coming. He said, if you had believed God would answer your prayer and believed it was going to rain, where are the ditches? You didn't dig any ditches to hold the water. And it's true. So you can go through the motions, but if you don't really believe and you don't take the actions necessary, then nothing's going to happen. And of course, God will not provide that for you, because he will only give you what you believe you deserve. And that goes into cybernetics on your subconscious, because God flows through us and everything around us. We are also one with God. So our subconscious is like a direct tie into that. And how our subconscious sees us is how we will be, for lack of a better word. So when you're in retirement, how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself lost like I did? Do you see yourself with a purpose? What is your purpose now in retirement? Is it to travel? That's awesome. We plan on slow traveling the world as soon as our daughter goes to college. That was weird for me to say college. I normally say university. So it can be that. Do you see yourself as someone who's volunteering for your community and doing community work? That's, that's what you need. You need purpose. You need to be of service to something, or to find your purpose. Reconnect with your spouse. Find, like most of the guys watch this, so find your wife and reconnect with her, because you're going to be spending more time together, and find out what you both want, not just what you think, and communicate that. So I started my purpose that came from this sort of a bad thing, my accident, but more so in September. I went to the emergency room, and I've told this story, I believe. I went to the emergency room. This is my why for what I'm doing now. And because my back was locking up and everything, I thought maybe it was kidney stones. I've had them before, but it turned out no, my back was just locking up again. And it was just super painful. I am at about an 8 right now on my left side of my back, my middle of my back. So you have to excuse me. So when I went there, they told me I had plaque building up in my arteries and I had a fatty liver. Well, ain't that a surprise, at being in my 242 pounds, overweight and on the SAD diet. So I was like, well, my brother died when he was 52 on the operating table he was having a vein artery replaced because it was blocked, and his other artery broke, and they weren't able to close it up and save him. Then my mom died at 63 before this with a ruptured artery. So when I heard that plaque building up in my artery and a fatty liver, I was like, all right, I got to do something. This is not going to be my story. And I want more time with my daughter. She's only 14 years old. I want to see her get married. I want to see her have children, right? So, and I want to be able to slow travel the world with my wife. I need more time with my wife. I love her. So that was my big wake-up call to start my journey on becoming healthier, to fix my fatty liver, to fix my plaque, to reduce the plaque buildup, if not reverse it completely. And, you know, so I started this. I researched everything. So from September till the end of October, October 21st, I looked at different diets and different things that were new research studies and everything that was coming up. I followed doctors online, on YouTube, and looked at the new reports and everything. I asked my doctor about the carnivore diet and some of the studies I told about, and about doing a DEXA scan to see where I am with my body composition and everything. And her thing was, I can get you in touch with a nutritionist, but we don't recommend something as drastic as a carnivore diet. You need carbs and you need vegetables and everything, so I wouldn't recommend it. And she said a DEXA scan is only for measuring bone density. Oh, it's not. And I don't blame her. She's a VA doctor, so they're seeing patient after patient after patient. They don't have time to keep up with new studies and do new research. Plus, they have protocols that are set up by the VA that they have to follow, things that they have to do before they do other things. So, but at the same time, I was like, well, this is the medical that I have to deal with, so I have to take responsibility for my health, because they're not. Their answer is just to give me I was on high blood pressure medicines, Linacapril, 40 milligrams, and my blood pressure was still at like 145 over 95, around that, 98. That's with the blood pressure medicine. And then I was on statins, 40 milligrams. And, you know, statins have been proven not to really reduce anything. There are more people have heart events with low to moderate cholesterol than with the high cholesterol. You can look it up, the stats there. Don't take my word. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a clinician or any of that. This is just what I found online and on watching doctors and talk about and referencing the research that was done to prove this. So I decided not to. Then I started going on the carnivore diet. A couple months into it, I had dropped like 30 pounds. I dropped like 20 pounds the first month because of all that water weight, I guess, and stuff. And then I cheated on Thanksgiving. I didn't cheat. I just had my thing. And then we went up to visit family in Connecticut, and I cheated with, in December I had 4 beers while we were up there. And then I had one piece of coffee cake that my niece made. That was so good. But since then, I haven't had any beer or any cheap meals. So, and I'm down to 177. But now, going back to retirement, and I'm sorry, I'm this is kind of drifting around here, but it's just talking about my journey and how I changed my mindset by getting on the carnivore diet and then finding out about walking and improving my walking, doing the hard 75 twice because I failed on day 41, not drinking enough water. Yeah, I know, right? And then finally finishing that. This has all been pushing me for, as a result of me getting healthy, I've been losing weight. So I have a goal of getting down to 10% body weight, which would be about 150 pounds. And then bulking, not bulking, because that's not the right word to use. I'm not going to go on carbs just to get fat again and try to build muscle that way. I'm going to build up using protein and fat, build up my muscles. But so that, and I used to have the goal of doing 10% between for my up to here in June on my birthday, but that wasn't realistic. I didn't know what I didn't know. So a more realistic goal is to drop 20 pounds by December and get to that 10% body fat in December. That's more reasonable. And then what, so this became my purpose, to circle back around to what I'm doing in retirement. And my purpose is to spend more time with my daughter, enjoy these moments as she's growing and becoming a young woman, reconnect with my wife, because I was an asshole when I was in my pity party there. Yeah, I would yell at my daughter for no real reason. I would yell at my wife. I didn't want to go out. I'm surprised she stuck with me, but she's an incredible woman. So yeah, let me finish up with that. So that's my purpose. Find your purpose in retirement, and then you'll see that everything else will start improving. And do the work. You know, I kind of beat around the bush on this one. That's kind of longer, but I just wanted to go through. We all have our journeys that we have to do, and the purpose of this was talking about when you're in retirement. Sometimes it can be hard. You travel for the first year, or you play golf, or you're sitting on the beach, whatever, and you sit around the house just watching TV, but then that gets old. We as humans, we need a purpose. So start thinking, if you're a few years out before you're retired, or you want to retire early, start thinking of something that's going to keep you busy, your purpose. All right? Let me know what your purpose is down in the comments. So thank you if you stayed till this far. That is awesome. You guys have a blessed day.